Hey guys, welcome to another tutorial video. Today's video is going to cover the studio on-air switching and basically how to switch your studio on to air and releasing it as well. So it's similar to the video that we made, the first video that we made. So you can also review that one. And it's basically using the buttons up on the top right, and this section is used to decide whether your studio or some other source is to be switched to broadcast, to air. So depending on which studio you're in at the time, you'll be able to switch that and that studio only to air. So for example, if I'm in Studio 3 at the moment, I can only switch Studio 3 to air. I cannot switch Studio 1 or 2. If I'm in Studio 2, I can only turn Studio 2 to air and not to 1 and 3, if that makes sense. So if you don't want to switch the studio to air, you can also switch other sources as well. So up here, the one that we basically use is music. So that's the auto music that's streamed from the server room, and it's basically a collection of songs that the broadcasters at CMS have given us, as well as some scheduled announcements and sponsorships. So it's important just to switch between the studio and also music. So you can also do this exactly at the same time that you wish to make the switch, or there's a method that you can do a bit more smoothly to select the appropriate source by fading it up on the channel on the console, and this makes it then making the switch to the same source. So this makes the source audio fade in rather than suddenly switching on the audio in the middle of the content. So it makes it sound a lot more smoother and makes the transition a lot more transparent. So covering again, to switch on a particular source, you have to hold the large to air button, and this enables the switching process to begin. So once you hold the large to air button, then you just click the appropriate source that you want to switch to. So for example, if I'm in Studio 3, then you would just hold the large to air button and then click on Studio 3. So once you do that, both the lights will illuminate red, indicating that the Studio 3 is now broadcasting to air. Likewise, once you've finished, you hold the large to air button and then switch to music to conclude and switch the studio off air. So it's not possible for more than one studio to be switched to air at the same time. So you got to make sure if there's programs before and after you, you have communicated with them to make sure that they've concluded their program and that you'll be ready to start yours at the scheduled time slot before you cut them off in the middle of their program. So going on to how to smoothly transition between the sources, between the studio and music. So currently there's no one broadcasting in the station at the moment, so we're streaming the auto music from the server room, not the studios. So that's indicated by the music light going red. So if I'm coming in for my program next, and I'd like to switch Studio 3 to air, the best way to do this would be to switch on auto music from the studio as well. So if I switch it on, fade up the volume. So now this means that the Studio 3 is now broadcasting auto music. However, the station is actually broadcasting the music from the server room. So when you're ready to switch over, you just hold down the large to air button, click on the corresponding studio button, so ST3, switch. You see that now they're both red, which means Studio 3 is broadcasting to air, and the audience wouldn't know that you've switched because the reason is now this studio is broadcasting, but it's broadcasting the same audio material that it was before I did the switch. So by doing this step in between, it ensures that the audience has a smoother listening experience and that there's no sudden cuts in the audio. So it's quite recommended that you do this step just to make sure that it's a bit it's a nice experience for the audience. The other thing that I was going to cover is that we now have an intercom system here. So as I was saying before, if you wanted to communicate with the other studios, so if there was a program broadcasting in front of you and you want to communicate with them to ensure that you have the permission to switch on your studio and not cut them off in the middle of their program, you would use the intercom system. Well, obviously you can physically go to their studio and talk to them, or the new alternative is to use the intercom system over here and communicate with them directly. So, for example, if I am in Studio 3 at the moment and I'd like to talk to the broadcaster in Studio 2, all I would do is press and hold the ST2 button, and if I do that, it means that I'll be able to talk to them, and they would do the same. So if I hold it, press and hold, they would be able to hear me. Likewise, if I was talking to Studio 1, I'd press and hold, it goes red, and now they can hear me. I can ask and confirm at what time exactly are we able to proceed with the studio takeover, yeah? So that covers it. So this video, we've got the buttons up here that you use to switch the studio on and off air to the different sources. We've got the intercom system here to communicate between the studios, and it's essentially used to confirm the time that you'd like to switch over. And then the method that we talked about to switch the auto music on before you switch the panel or the studio live to air, it just makes it a more smoother listening experience for the audience. Great. So hopefully that explains and helps a little bit more. If you have any questions, leave a comment or contact the office with the email or the phone. Thanks. Hope to speak to you soon, guys.